විට පොඩි නොසන්සුන්තාවයක් ඇති වෙලා තියෙනවා විදුහල්පතිතුමා පත් කිරීම සම්බන්ධයෙන්. සමහරු මම දැක්කා උද්ඝෝෂණය කරනවා පාසලේ ළමයි අතරත් යම් නොසන්සුන්භාවයක් තියෙනවා. ඒ පිළිබඳව ඔබතුමියගේ අවධානය යොමු කරන්න කියන කාරණාවත් අද දවසේ අලුතින් විදුහල්පතිවරයෙක් පත් වෙනවා කියලා ඒ පිළිබඳවත් දෙමව්පියන්ගේ යම් යම් විරෝධතා තියෙන බව කියනවා. පාසලේ දරුදැරියන්ව ඒ වලට සම්බන්ධ වීමෙන් පාසලේ කීර්තිනාමයට ඒ සියල්ලට හානියක් සිදු වෙන නිසා ඔබතුමියගේ ඉක්මන් අවධානය ඒ වෙනුවෙන් යොමු කරලා කටයුතු කරන්න කියන ඉල්ලීමක් කරනවා. ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් ඔබතුමිය දැනුවත්ද කියන කාරණාවත් පුළුවන් නම් පිළිතුරක් ලබා දෙන්න කියලා ඉල්ලනවා.
ගරු නියෝජ්‍ය කතානායකතුමනි, මම ගරු මන්ත්‍රීතුමා මතු කරපු අවසාන ප්‍රශ්නයක පටන් ගන්නම්. ගරු නියෝජ්‍ය කතානායකතුමනි, අපි ඔබ දන්නවා පහුගිය ආණ්ඩුව විදුහල්පති පත් කිරීමේ ක්‍රියාවලිය සෑහෙන අර්බුදයකට පත් කරලා තිබ්බා. නිසි ක්‍රමවේද පාවිච්චි නොකර වැඩ බලන විදුහල්පතිවරු පත් කරමින් අවුරුදු ගාණක් ඒ අයටත් අසාධාරණයක් වෙනවා, පාසලටත් අසාධාරණයක් වෙන විදිහට මේක අතිශයින්ම ප්‍රශ්නකාරී තැනකට ඇද දාලා තියෙනවා. අපි මේක නිවැරදි කරමින් යන්නේ මේක හරි ක්‍රමවේදයක් අනුව දැනට පවතින රෙගුලාසි අනුව විදුහල්පති තනතුරකට සිටිය යුතු පුද්ගලයෙක්ගේ තිබිය යුතු ක්වොලිෆිකේෂන්ස් අනුව සාමූහික පරීක්ෂණ හරහා නිසි ක්‍රමවේදයකින් සියලුම ජාතික පාසල්වලට පුරප්පාඩු තියෙන තැන්වලට විදුහල්පතිවරුන් පත් කරනවා. එතකොට අපි එක් පාසලකට වෙනස් විදිය සලකන්නේ සියලුම පාසල්වලට අනුගමනය කරන්නේ එකම ක්‍රමවේදය. ඉතින් ඒ නිසා ඒ ක්‍රමවේදයෙන් තමයි ඔබ මතු කරපු පාසලෙත් ඒ බණ්ඩාරනායක මහාවිද්‍යාලයේත් එතනත් එහෙම තමයි අපි පත් කරලා තියෙන්නේ. ඒ නිසා ඒක නිසි ක්‍රමවේදය අනුව පත් කරන විදුහල්පතිවරයෙක්. ඉතින් ඒ ක්‍රියාවලිය අපි පිළිපදින්න වෙනවා. ගරු නියෝජ්‍ය කතානායකතුමනි, මූලික ප්‍රශ්නය ආවේ මේ වික්‍රමාරච්චි දේශීය වෛද්‍ය විද්‍යාලය පිළිබඳව. ගම්පහ පවතින වික්‍රමාරච්චි දේශීය වෛද්‍ය විද්‍යාලයේ ගැටලු ඇති බවට විවිධ පාර්ශව මගින් සිදු කරන ලද ලිඛිත හා වාචික පැමිණිලි මත පහත ගැටලු හඳුනාගෙන ඇති අතර ඒ සම්බන්ධව විධිමත් හා විශ්ලේෂාත්මකව සොයා බැලීම සඳහා මා විසින් විද්වත් කමිටුවක් පත් කර ඇත. ඒ මූලික සාකච්ඡාවලින් අපිට හඳුනා ගන්න පුළුවන් වෙච්ච මූලික ගැටලු ශිෂ්‍යයනුත් මුණ ගැහුණා, කාර්ය මණ්ඩලයත් අධ්‍යයන කාර්ය මණ්ඩලයත් මාව මුණ ගැහුණා. මූලික ගැටලු හැටියට අපි හඳුනාගෙන තියෙන්නේ පෙර පැවති ගම්පහ වික්‍රමාරච්චි වෛද්‍ය විද්‍යායතනයේ විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයක් බවට පත් කිරීමේදී පහසුකම් නොමැතිව නව පීඨ සහ නව උපාධිමාලා ආරම්භ කරලා තියෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ මානව සම්පතුත් හරියට නැහැ, ඒ වගේම යටිතල පහසුකම්මුත් හරියට නැතුව තමයි මේ උපාධි පාඨමාලා ආරම්භ කරලා තියෙන්නේ. මූලික අරමුණු වලට පරිබාහිරව වශයෙන් දේශීය වෛද්‍ය විද්‍යාවට අමතරව තාක්ෂණය, සමාජ විද්‍යාව සහ කළමනාකරණය වැනි උපාධි පාඨමාලා හඳුන්වා දීලා තියෙනවා. ඒ පාඨමාලාවල ගුණාත්මක භාවය පිළිබඳ බරපතල ප්‍රශ්න මේ වෙනකොට මතුවලා තියෙනවා. එතකොට ඒ නිසා තමයි ඒ ගැටලු හඳුනාගෙන තියෙන නිසා තමයි සහ මේකට දැන් මොකක්ද අපි කළ යුත්තේ කියන එක පිළිබඳව වාර්තාවක් ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න අපි විද්වත් කමිටුවක් අපි පත් කරලා තියෙනවා. ඒ කමිටුව ජූනි මාසේ 2 වෙනිදා වෙනකොට මට ඒ වාර්තාව ලබා දිය යුතුයි. ඒකට අපි මාස 3ක කාලයක් දුන්නා. මොකද මේක සංකීර්ණ ගැටලුවක්. ඉතින් ඊළඟට කළ යුතු දේ පිළිබඳ සොයා බැලීමට ඒ විද්වත් කමිටුවට කාලය අවශ්‍යයි. ඒ කමිටු වාර්තාව අනුව තමයි අපි ඒක සාකච්ඡා කරලා ඒ කමිටු වාර්තාවේ සාකච්ඡා කරලා අපි තීරණයක් ගන්න තමයි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ. දේශීය හා විකල්ප වෛද්‍ය ක්‍රම උසස් අධ්‍යාපනයේ ක්ෂේත්‍රයේ ප්‍රවර්ධනය කිරීමට දැනට ගරු නියෝජ්‍ය කතානායකතුමනි, දේශීය වෛද්‍ය විද්‍යාව ආයුර්වේද, සිද්ධ, යුනානි සහ යන වෛද්‍ය ක්‍රමයන්ට අදාළ උපාධි පාඨමාලා යාපනය විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයේ, නැගෙනහිර විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයේත්, කොළඹ විශ්වවිද්‍යාලය සහ ගම්පහ වික්‍රමාරච්චි ආයුර්වේද විශ්වවිද්‍යාලය යන විශ්වවිද්‍යාල 4ක ක්‍රියාත්මක කරනවා. ප්‍රථම උපාධි පාඨමාලාවන්හි වාර්ෂික ශිෂ්‍ය ඇතුළත් කිරීම 719ක්. දේශීය වෛද්‍ය උපාධිධාරීන්ගේ සීමාවාසික පුහුණුව සහ පත්වීම් ලබා දීම සඳහා ප්‍රමුඛතා ලේඛනය ආයුර්වේද කොමසාරිස් ජෙනරාල්ගේ ඉදීම් මත සෑම අවස්ථාවකදීම විශ්වවිද්‍යාල ප්‍රතිපාදන කොමිසම් සභාව විසින් සකසා දෙනවා. එසේම එම දේශීය වෛද්‍ය උපාධිධාරී පත්වීම් ලබා දීම සෞඛ්‍ය අමාත්‍යාංශය මගින් සිදු කෙරෙන අතර මෙම පත්වීම් ලබා දීමේ ක්‍රමවේදය විධිමත් කිරීමට හා එම පත්වීම් ලබා දීමට ගතවන කාලය අඩු කිරීමට අවශ්‍ය පියවර ගනිමින් යනවා. කාලයක් තිස්සේ ඒ පුහුණුව ලබා දුන්නෙත් නැහැ, පත්වීමුත් පරක් වෙලා තිබේ. දැන් ඒවා සියල්ලම නිවැරදි කරමින් යනවා. ගරු නියෝජ්‍ය කතානායකතුමනි, ගම්පහ දේශීය වෛද්‍ය විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයේ අවසාන තීන්දුව අපි ගන්නේ අර කමිටුවේ වාර්තාව ලැබුණයින් පස්සේ. බොහොම ස්තුතියි.
Honourable member, any supplementary questions? Right. Questions to be asked from the Prime Minister. The Honourable Shanakian Rajaputhiran Rasamanikam, Member of Parliament.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I'd like to ask this question from the Prime Minister. Honourable Prime Minister, 16 years after the war ended, Sri Lanka has yet to address the root causes of conflict. Further, no genuine efforts have yet been made at truth and justice. With the long list of commissions of inquiry and other state entities failing to address the impunity. These and other factors demonstrate the multiple challenges with reconciliation in Sri Lanka. So I would like to raise these questions from the Prime Minister. Number one, what is the government doing to address emblematic cases including massacres that occurred in my district and other areas? What is the government's stance for justice for enforced disappearances? Number three, when does the government plan to release political prisoners? Number four, why is the government using the Prevention of Terrorism Act, the PTA? Will it be repealed? Number five, will the government end land grabs by state actors and others? Number six, what is the timeline for a new constitution? So I'd like to ask these questions from the Honourable Prime Minister. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. Question number one, we are well aware that this country has a history of violence and that atrocities have been committed by all parties who were part of that violence and who are responsible for that violence, wars and conflicts. Any specific complaints that our government has received will be investigated. If the Honourable Member wishes to submit details of any particular emblematic cases he has in mind, we can furnish more specific details. As you know, as the Honourable Member himself mentioned, it is 16 years since 16 years have passed since the war ended. Many governments have been in power subsequent to that. Some who tried to cover up some of the atrocities that were committed, others who actually came into power on the promise of investigation. So we are in the difficult situation of having to investigate cases that have been committed 16 years ago. As you know, then investigations are complex, complicated, and finding evidence is also complicated. However, we are looking at all available evidence. We are looking at ways of gathering more evidence. Currently, our government is pursuing investigations on certain emblematic cases, including the Easter attack and attacks that have been carried out against certain media persons. Question number two, as stated in our manifesto, we agree that families of the disappeared need answers. And we are in the process of strengthening mechanisms such as the Office of the Missing Persons and providing them with adequate resources to enable to carry out its mandate effectively. As mentioned in page 230 of our manifesto, we will investigate enforced disappearances that have taken place throughout the country. Honourable Deputy Speaker, many of our MPs present in Parliament themselves are very aware of what it means to have enforced disappearances taking place within their comrades and within family members. So this is something that is very sensitive to us and which we are very aware of, and we have every intention of ensuring that that answers are provided to victims and to family members. But we intend to do it according to due process, which is why we are in the process of strengthening the mechanisms necessary to do so. Question 3, we acknowledge that there has been abuse of power in the past, leading to wrongful charges and even convictions against people who have held different political views to those in power. We do not intend to go down that path ever. If the honourable member can provide case numbers of or any other specific details of people currently being held for their political beliefs, we will provide information regarding their current status and plans for release. 4, we stand by our commitment to repeal the PTA, the Prevention of Terrorism Act. Cabinet has already approved the paper submitted by the Ministry of Justice to appoint a committee to provide recommendations for the repeal of PTA. Given the urgency of this issue, we have instructed the committee to proceed fast and provide a white paper as soon as possible for wider consultations on repealing PTA as well as new legislation for ensuring national security. In the meantime, when dealing with national security, we have no option but to act within the existing laws. Also, I would like to add that there are political parties who have been part of all governments, specifically between 2015 and 2020, who frequently abuse the Prevention of Terrorism Act, but who when they were in power or when they were supportive of such regimes, did not raise these issues. However, we take this quite seriously. It is in our manifesto, and once again, let me repeat, we stand by what is in our manifesto. 5, once again, we acknowledge that in the past, there were politically motivated land grabs. As stated in our manifesto, page 231, we will not allocate or distribute land with the intention of altering ethnic composition in particular areas. We also acknowledge that past governments have actually started releasing land held by the military. We are also in the process of identifying remaining land that is with the military and land that can be released. And I am tabling more detailed information about the land that has been currently identified for release by our government. 6, given the state of the country when this government took office, we had 2 urgent priorities: stabilizing the economy and ensuring democracy, particularly in relation to elections that had been postponed or not held for several years. These were our 2 urgent priorities. So in order to stabilize, we are in the process of stabilizing the economy. We are also in the process of establishing democracy. As you know, the 2 elections have already been held within a period of 6 months. We are going into a 3rd election in the coming month. There is another election to be held, and that is the provincial council elections, which have been pending for several years. Once these are completed, we intend to fulfill our promise in the manifesto and start working on the new constitution. We do not think that this will require a lot of time, since a lot of work has already been done with regard to what needs to go into a new constitution, as well as public consultations that were held with regard to constitutional reform, and we do not intend to reinvent the wheel, but move from what has happened, the work that has already been done inside the parliament as well. So our intention is to do this right, to do this properly, and to do this consultatively, so that all views can be considered when we finally present a new constitution to the country. Thank you.
Honorable Rasamanikam, any supplementary questions you may?
Honorable Deputy Speaker, I'd like to thank my good friend Honorable Prime Minister for answering these questions, even though I'm not quite satisfied with some of the answers, but I'd like to thank her for answering these without acting like some thugs in her cabinet. கௌரவ பிரதமர் அவர்களே, என்னுடைய முதலாவது கேள்வி உங்களுடைய உரையிலே நீங்கள் மிக தெளிவாக சொல்லியிருந்த நீங்கள் இந்த அடையாளப்படுத்தப்பட்ட சில கேசஸ், அதாவது எம்ப்ளமேட்டிக் கேசஸ் என்று சொன்னால் உங்களுக்கும் தெரியும். கடந்த காலத்திலே இந்த நாட்டிலே எத்தனையோ வன்முறைகள் நடந்து, எத்தனையோ படுகொலைகள் நடந்து, அந்த கேசஸினுடைய எண்ணிக்கை நான் கடந்த நீதி அமைச்சருடைய விவாதத்திலே அந்த கேசஸினுடைய சில விவரங்களை தந்திருந்தேன் நான். திருவோணமலையிலே கொல்லப்பட்ட ட்ரிங்கோ 5 இருக்கட்டும், அவ்வாறு இல்லை என்று சொன்னால் கடத்தப்பட்ட வடக்கு கிழக்கிலே கடத்தப்பட்ட ஊடகவியலாளராக இருக்கட்டும், 2009ஆம் ஆண்டிலே நேரடியாக வைத்தியசாலைகளை தாக்கப்பட்டதாக இருக்கட்டும், இதெல்லாம் நாங்கள் தான் உங்களுக்கு கேசஸ் தர வேண்டும் என்ற அவசியம் இல்லை. எம்ப்ளமேட்டிக் கேசஸாக அடையாளப்படுத்தப்பட்ட சில கேசஸ் இருக்கின்றது. அப்ப எங்களுக்கும் தெரிகின்றது, நீங்கள் 2009ஆம் ஆண்டிலே இருந்து 16 வருடங்கள் கடந்துவிட்டு அந்த காலப்பகுதியிலே இருந்த ஆட்சியாளர் சம்பந்தமாக இருந்த எல்லா குற்றச்சாட்டுகளையும் உடனடியாக விசாரிக்க முடியாது. அதனால தான் எம்ப்ளமேட்டிக், அதாவது உங்களுக்கு தெரியும், இட்ஸ் எம்ப்ளமேட்டிக் கேசஸ் ஆர் ஐடென்டிஃபைட் பிகாஸ் we can't investigate all of them at once. அந்த அடிப்படையிலே இந்த விவரங்களை நாங்கள் தந்தோம். இப்போ உங்களுடைய OMPயையும் ORயையும் தான் காணாமாக்கப்பட்டவருடைய பிரச்சனைக்கான ஒரு தீர்வாக நீங்கள் முன்வைக்கிறீர்கள். பாதிக்கப்பட்ட சமூகமாகிய தமிழ் சமூகம் இந்த காணாமாக்கப்பட்டவருடைய அலுவலகம் மற்றும் ஆஃபீஸ் ஆஃப் ரெப்பரேஷன்ஸ் என்ற இந்த இரு விடயங்களை நிராகரித்திருக்கு. ஒரு நீதிமன்ற பொறிமுறை இல்லாத எந்த ஒரு முறையும் ஏற்றுக்கொள்றதுக்கு பாதிக்கப்பட்ட சமூகமாகிய எங்களுடைய மக்கள் தயாரில்லை. உங்களுக்கு கௌரவ பிரதமர் அவர்களே, நீங்கள் இந்த கொழும்பு மாவட்டத்தில் அதிகூடிய வாக்குகளை எடுத்து வந்த நீங்கள் உங்களுடைய செயல்பாடு, கௌரவ விஜிதஹேரத் அமைச்சருடைய செயல்பாடு, அன்றகுமார திசாநாயக்குடைய செயல்பாடுகளை கண்டு அதனை கண்டுதான் மக்கள் உங்களுடைய NPP கட்சிக்கு வாக்களித்தார்களே தவிர உங்களை வளைச்சிருக்கிறவருடைய செயல்பாடுகளை அந்த நேரத்தில் கண்டதால் வாக்களித்தே இருக்க மாட்டார்கள். அந்த வகையிலே கௌரவ பிரதமர் அவர்களே, இந்த இரு விடயங்களையும் பொறுத்தவரை முதலாவது என்னுடைய கேள்வி, இந்த காணாமாக்கப்பட்டவருடைய விடயங்களும் எம்ப்ளமேட்டிக் கேஸ் ரெண்டும் புண்ணி சேர்ந்த விடயங்கள். இந்த ரெண்டு விடயங்கள்லேயும் நீங்கள் உடனடியாக, ஏனென்றால் உங்களுடைய வெளிவிவகார அமைச்சர் வெளிநாடுக்கு சென்று ஜெனீவாவிலே சொல்லியிருக்கிறார், நாங்கள் OMPயை நாங்கள் முன்னெடுக்க போறோம். ஆனால் OMPக்கும் ORக்கும் சரி, நாங்கள் தான் பாதிக்கப்பட்ட சமூகமாகி நாங்கள் தான் OMP ORஐ ஏற்றுக்கொள்ளாவிட்டாலும் கூட, என்றால் நீதி பொறுமுறை இல்லாத காரணத்தினால் அரசாங்க தரப்பின் முன்மொழிவாக இருக்கிற அந்த விடயங்களுக்கு கூட உங்களுடைய வரவு செலவு திட்டத்திலே நிதி ஒதுக்கப்படவில்லை. அப்ப இந்த நிதி இல்லாமல் எவ்வாறு நீங்கள் இந்த விடயங்களை முன்னெடுக்க போறீங்க? உங்களுக்கு தெரியும், சாலிய பீரிஸ் தலைமையிலே இருந்த அந்த குழுவினர் ஒரு சில எம்ப்ளமேட்டிக் கேஸ் எடுத்து விசாரிக்க போனார்கள். அந்த விடயங்களுக்காவது உடனடியாக ஒரு உடனடியாக தீர்வில்லாவிட்டாலும் என்ன நடக்குது? நேற்றைய தினம் புள்ளையானை கைது செய்திருக்கிறீர்கள், நாங்கள் வரவேற்கின்றோம். விசாரணைகளை செய்து அந்த விடயங்களை நீங்கள் முன்னெடுங்கள். அதே போல என்ன இந்த விடயங்கள் சொல்றா, ஏதாவது சொல்லக்கூடிய அளவு ப்ரோக்ரஸ், இந்த நான் தான் கேசஸ் தர வேண்டும் என்று சொல்றது வந்து நீங்கள் அரசாங்கத்தில் இருக்கிறீங்க கௌரவ.
Honorable member, could you please come to your question?
I have asked the question.
Yes.
My first question I have asked. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, we cannot be held responsible for 16 years of inaction, I should say. We have only been in power for 6 months, and within that period, we have to build mechanisms and processes and strengthen the institutions that can carry out these investigations and inquiry and deliver justice. That is our task. It is not that we can personally go and make these inquiries. What is important is that institutionally, we are, as a country, we are able to deal with such cases, because that has been the problem in the past. That the institutional failure, systemic failure, is what led to these things in the first place. So we need to address that, not to just sort of take popular, just react, but to actually set in place the institutions and the environment to ensure that these things can not happen again, and also that the existing injustices are investigated and inquired into, and that is precisely what we are doing. The arrests that have been made, the arrest that was made yesterday is part of that process. Why people do not trust the Office of Reparations and the Office of Missing Persons is precisely because of the failures in the past, where these institutions were set up in name only, but not sufficiently strengthened, right? So this is what has happened in the past. And this is what we are trying to correct. Make sure that the right people are in these places, that the resources are adequately allocated, so that these institutions can carry out their tasks. If these institutions are insufficient, we are prepared to also broaden their mandate and put in place new mechanisms. That we will do. But it has to be a process. We have to make sure that these are sustainable, which is exactly what we are doing. Why I asked for specific information was that, yes, there are many such cases that the Honourable Member himself also noted. There are certain cases that we are already proceeding on. If there were any particular cases that he is interested in, we will look into those as well. Look into those as in we will provide whatever information we have. As I mentioned in my answer also, Honourable Deputy Speaker, these are cases that are pending for the last 16 years. It's not easy. It is not easy, but we are committed to ensuring justice.